The first letter arrived exactly 3 days after she disappeared from his life. The second came a week later. Then another. And another. For 7 years, Noah Bennett wrote 100 letters to the only woman he had ever loved, convinced that somewhere, somehow, she was reading every word. But on a rainy autumn afternoon, he met a stranger who handed him a worn-out wooden box and quietly said, "She never received a single one." In that moment, everything Noah believed about their heartbreaking goodbye shattered, and the truth waiting inside that box would change both of their lives forever. Noah Bennett never believed in love at first sight, until he met Amelia Carter in a small bookstore tucked between 2 cafes in downtown Boston. She was sitting on the floor, surrounded by novels, laughing at a page she couldn't stop rereading. Noah apologized after accidentally knocking over a stack of books, and instead of being annoyed, Amelia smiled. "I guess that's one way to get my attention." That smile stayed with him long after he left. Within months, they became inseparable. Weekend road trips, coffee before work, late-night walks along the Charles River. They dreamed about buying a little house with a porch where they would grow old together. One evening, while watching the sunset over the harbor, Noah slipped a simple silver ring onto her finger. "I don't have everything figured out," he said. "You don't have to," Amelia whispered, "as long as we're together." Life finally felt complete. Then everything changed. Amelia's father suffered a serious stroke in Oregon. She needed to leave immediately to help her family. "It'll only be for a few months," she promised while hugging Noah tightly at the airport. "We'll write every week. I'll write every day if I have to." She laughed through her tears. "I know you will." For the first few weeks, letters arrived exactly as promised. Her stories filled with small-town life, his filled with memories, hope, and plans for their future. Then, silence. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, no phone calls, no letters, nothing. Noah called every number he had. No answer. He drove to Oregon 6 months later. The house where Amelia had lived stood empty. Neighbors simply shrugged. They moved away. No forwarding address. It was as if she had vanished. Most people would have given up. Noah couldn't. Every month, on the first day, he wrote another letter. He wrote about promotions at work, about his mother's passing, about lonely birthdays, about seeing couples who reminded him of them. He never skipped a month. 100 letters, each ending exactly the same. "I'm still here, if you ever come back." His friends begged him to move on. "You deserve happiness." He smiled politely, but a part of his heart remained reserved for someone who had never truly said goodbye. 7 years later, Noah attended a charity fundraiser hosted by one of his clients. He almost didn't go. Near the entrance sat an elderly woman selling handcrafted wooden boxes. One box caught his attention. Its carved flowers looked strangely familiar. "You recognize it," the woman said gently. Noah nodded. "My fiancé used to sketch flowers exactly like these." The woman looked at him carefully. "What was her name?" "Oh, Amelia Carter." The woman's expression froze. After a long silence, she whispered, "I've been hoping I'd meet you someday." She introduced herself as Margaret, Amelia's aunt. Noah's heart pounded. "Where is she?" Margaret's eyes filled with regret. "I don't know if she'll ever forgive herself." She reached beneath the table and carefully placed an old wooden box into his trembling hands. Inside, 100 sealed envelopes, every single letter Noah had ever written, untouched, unopened. His hands shook. "What is this?" Margaret looked away. Her mother hid every one of them. Noah stared in disbelief. "What?" When Amelia's father became ill, her mother decided she shouldn't return to Boston. She believed love would distract Amelia from family responsibilities. So, every letter you mailed was intercepted. Amelia never knew you kept writing. Noah struggled to breathe. And why didn't she contact me? Margaret sighed. Because her mother told her you stopped writing after the first month. Noah closed his eyes. 7 years, destroyed by one terrible lie. Margaret continued quietly. Amelia begged her mother for your address after her father passed away. But she'd already burned every envelope that had your return address. She searched online. Hired investigators. Even visited Boston twice. She never found you. Tears rolled down Noah's face. All those years, neither of them had chosen to leave. Someone else had made that choice. Margaret handed him one final envelope. This one isn't yours. It was addressed to Noah, written in Amelia's handwriting, dated only 3 weeks earlier. He carefully unfolded it. Noah, if this letter somehow reaches you, please know I never stopped loving you. Every birthday I wondered where you were. Every Christmas I imagined your smile. If you found someone else, I truly hope she knows how lucky she is. But if by some miracle you're still searching, so am I. Always. Amelia. Noah didn't hesitate. Margaret gave him an address in Portland. The next morning he boarded the first flight. His heart pounded harder with every mile. What if she had changed? What if it was too late? When he arrived, the address led to a quiet community library. Inside, a woman knelt beside a group of children, helping them choose books. Her hair was slightly shorter. A few silver strands framed her face. But her smile, it was still the one that had changed his life. She looked up. Their eyes met. Neither moved, neither spoke. The room seemed to disappear. Noah? She whispered. His voice cracked. I never stopped writing. She blinked in confusion. What? He placed the wooden box on the table. 100 unopened letters rested inside. She slowly picked up the first envelope, then another. Tears streamed down her face before she even opened one. I thought, she sobbed, I thought you forgot me. I thought you chose another life. He shook his head. I thought you did. Without another word, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. Years of loneliness dissolved into a single embrace. Neither cared about the lost time, only that it was finally over. For hours they sat together reading every letter. They laughed over old memories, cried over birthdays they had missed, smiled at dreams that somehow still survived. When Amelia reached letter number 100, she looked at Noah with tearful eyes. You kept every promise. He smiled softly. So did you. Months later, surrounded by close friends Margaret and dozens of children from the library, Noah proposed again. This time there were no goodbyes, no lies, no missing letters, only truth, only forgiveness, only love that had quietly waited through 7 impossible years. Sometimes life doesn't separate two people because love fades. Sometimes the greatest heartbreak comes from words that never arrive. But real love isn't measured by perfect timing. It's measured by the courage to keep believing, even when silence makes hope feel impossible. And sometimes, the story you thought had ended years ago is simply waiting for the final page to be delivered.